there's never been a better time to build your financial knowledge here, have your fears and questions answered, and learn where there's an opportunity for you to grow as an artist, as a creator, as an individual. I think as Artist on Go, I'm our advisor here. So I work with every single artist that comes through, helping them find and evaluate where they're at in their career. We understand that there's fears we have in this current economic situation. And whether you're a salon owner, a hairstylist, we believe the industry will find freedom by working, better together. What I want you guys to know, real simple, and you're seeing this with, a lot of Nina and Cash talking about this event, is what is Artist on Go? The easiest way to put it is we're a chair rental platform, right? We're the best way to rent, be your own boss without having to open your own salon, worry about the overhead. Your chair, all the amenities you need, the infrastructure, it's already here for you. You just have to join, right? There's no risk, 100% money guaranteed back to you, right? We really are a solution in terms of just helping you find the best place that works for you as a stylist. But again, we partnered with industry experts, entrepreneurs and coaches, Cash Lawless of the Billionaire Hairstylist, and Nina Tulio, as you guys know, to share their knowledge and expertise on how you can set yourself up to be secure in the short term and be financially successful, obviously, in the long term. So super excited. Without further ado, Cash, I'm going to turn it over to you, and we'll kind of go from here. Excited. There's still so many people jumping in. So Cash, thank you.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, thanks. Thank you guys for having me. It's been super exciting partnering up with you guys, Artist on Go and Nina. It's awesome to be here. And I love seeing everybody's face on camera. This is cool. Sometimes when we do these, everybody shuts their cameras off and likes to remain real private. Feels very lonely over here. And so it's great to see all your guys' faces that are leaving your cameras on. So that's really cool. So I want to start by just kind of introducing myself. For those of you who have never heard of me, and there's probably several of you, my name is Cash Lawless. Yes, that's my real name. It's ridiculous. I made a huge mistake when I was younger. I joined a band and legally changed my name, and I'm stuck with it now. So that's the story behind my name, and I am a hairstylist. So just a little bit of backstory on me. I started about 15 years ago in hairdressing. I was a homeless dropout, probably the worst with money you could possibly be. And a family actually rescued me, took me in off the streets, and gave me a massive opportunity by investing in me and saying, hey, we see a lot of potential in you and we want you to do better than this. So I got a job working one day a week at a salon, $6 an hour. I was pumped. I was hooked on the industry. And so I committed to being the best that I could be. And over the years, I kind of worked my way up. I was the hairdresser for people like Justin Bieber, Kendall Jenner, Kylie Jenner, Bella Hadid, and a bunch of other people. And through working with some of the world's most successful people and bright people, and I worked with a lot of CEOs, CFOs, CMOs, executives of publicly traded company, privately held companies, I started learning a lot because I got myself into a situation where I was finally making some money, but I wasn't getting any wealthier. My situation really wasn't changing. I was working with amazing people, but I knew that there was a life my clients were living that I was sort of not able to. And so over the years, I started asking them questions. I got desperate and was like, hey, I'll do your hair for free if you just talk money, business, finance with me, because you obviously understand something I don't. And the lessons I learned from these people were really, really powerful. And because of that, I was able to become a multimillionaire as a hairstylist. I purchased over $190 million in real estate. I manage a multimillion-dollar investment fund. I own 3 multimillion-dollar businesses, and those businesses are in different sectors that range across real estate, physical goods, e-commerce, automotive industry, and the beauty industry. So that's a little bit about me. And today I'm going to be talking mostly about what really affects your business much more than you think. And I think I'll be sharing some things that you probably didn't expect to find in this session today. So I want to go ahead and share my screen here. Actually, we've got a slide up here I want to cover before I do that. I have a little bit on my slide, but we fear what we don't understand. And so there's so much conversation among beauty professionals, creatives, nowadays more than ever, than I've ever heard before, about what the hell is going on in the economy. why are prices going up? What's going on with inflation? How does all this work? How is it going to affect my business? Banks are closing. There's just a lot of things hitting the news that hairstylists have never had to deal with before. And it's affecting the beauty industry in a way that these types of things really haven't before. So when I was going through my career and I started working with my clients, the financial education I got from them fundamentally changed the language and the conversations I was speaking, and that ultimately changed my life. And that's why I started The Millionaire Hairstylist, to help creative professionals improve their financial well-being. So one thing I can say before we get started is that a recession is an opportunity for those who know what they're doing. So with a little bit of education, you can start seeing this entire thing as something else. And that's what I hope to accomplish by the end of this today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here with you guys. And I'll share. So let me know if you guys can see my screen. I'm going to flip back through a bunch of slides here that we're going to go through. All right. Now I can't see you guys right now, but if you guys can, if you guys can hear me and see me, then I'm sure you guys will let me know if you can't. Tanner, can you see my screen?
Cash, you're good. We got you.
Perfect. All right. We fear what we don't understand. When you don't understand what is going on in the world happens to you, not for you. That's a really powerful lesson I learned when I was homeless, living in an abandoned car in Portland, Oregon for 3 months of my life and had to be rescued. At the time, I had the mindset that everything happened to me. I blamed the world for everything that went on. But later on, I realized that I was the person responsible for putting me there. And it left me wondering, why was this happening? And I think a lot of us are left wondering, why is this happening? Because we don't understand what's going on at a deeper level. So there has never been a time in recent history, there hasn't been a time in recent history where your financial and business education has been more important than it is now, because we have policies and actions being taken by the US government that are affecting the entire world economic and monetary system. And I'm going to share some of those with you guys and how this whole economic system works as quickly as I possibly can. So this is like economics and business 101. And for everybody that stays until the end of this, every single one of you is going to get my course, Master Your Money, which is $400, absolutely free. AOG has stepped up and paid for every single one of you that stays through this. So I'm really, really excited to get to send you guys that. And everyone that does stay to the end, you'll also have access to our community where you can ask me questions. I answer them. I respond to them in our community on the platform. So that's going to be super exciting. Friendly disclaimer before I get started. I'm not an investment advisor, CPA, or lawyer. Nothing shared during this presentation should be construed as investment, legal, or tax advice. That's always fun to say, but I'm none of those things, and I don't give advice. What I do is I help educate people, and that's what we'll be doing today. So I'm going to start with nothing affects your business more than the economy. And how much does the economy affect your business? Well, actually, the economy, the market, the sector, and the industry that your business is in, it dictates about 80% of what your business can do and accomplish. For example, if you were starting your hair salon in a country that was developing, in an area that had 90 people in it, your ability to build that business to a billion-dollar company would be quite limited, right? So the economy, the market, the sector, and the industry dictate 80% of how well your business can do. Now, for those of us that live in developed markets and developed economies, we are sort of comfortable and used to the fact that we live in a very strong economic environment. I heard people from Canada, the US, these are really, really powerful global economies. And so we're able to build businesses without even considering the fact that, you know, our currency is going to be not going to be worth something tomorrow, right? We don't even think about those things. We don't even think about, we deposit money in the bank and think, gosh, it'll always be there. And there's certain places in the world that that's not the case. And these are the things that really allow us to be comfortable enough to pursue and build our business and take action in our businesses. So if 80% of my business is affected by the economy, what's going on in the economy? Well, there's 6 stages of an economic cycle. And I would bet nobody expected to be learning the 6 stages of an economic cycle, but this is critically important, and you're going to find out why. Because this is how I positioned my businesses to not lose in down markets, but to profit. And our businesses are looking at doing multi-million-dollar months during this right here. So early expansion is the beginning of a market cycle where people are sort of getting comfortable. They're hopeful that things will get better, and that means jobs are going up, things are affordable, interest rates are low because so that people can buy homes, and investment returns are good. Then middle expansion is really where people start to get excited. You guys all saw this probably in like 2015, 16. Everyone was sort of like, oh my gosh, like I should buy a home, or I should invest. And if you were working and making money back then, that's middle expansion, where people start getting into more risky investments. Technology starts to boom. Luxury services start to boom. And then we have late expansion, which is what Warren Buffett calls irrational exuberance, where everyone goes, I'll pay anything for that house. I'm sure many of you guys saw this. I'll pay anything for that because it'll always go up, and I don't care what the price is. I'll overpay by 100,000, 50,000. In my business, for the last 2 years, one of my businesses, a real estate business, we were selling houses in probably 24 hours for an average of $50,000 to $150,000 over the asking price. And that's when we started to really understand, hey, something's way off here. This is not the value of this house. And so we started preparing ourselves. We knew that that was the sign for what's called early contraction. That's what's next. And early contraction is what we sort of experienced in 2021, starting around October. And middle contraction is where you've got a recession. In a recession, technical definition is 2 quarters of negative GDP. I won't get into what that is, but that's the technical definition, and we are there. And then we have late contraction, which is like your depression. That is, the 1930s, the Great Depression, 2008 was late contraction. So you can kind of see what life is like in these different stages. Now, what stage do you guys think we're in now? What stage are we in now? This is called an index. And this screenshot here just is measuring asset prices. And in an index, imagine, is a basket of assets, houses, stocks, goods, things people invest in. And this measures their aggregate price. So what we saw in 2021 right here is 2020, February 2020, people freaked out, right? So things lost lots of value. And the Fed, which I'll explain in a moment, responded with what's called quantitative easing, and they pumped almost $4 trillion into the market. 80% of the money that is circulating in the economy now was printed in the last couple of years. It's pretty insane. Now, what happens is inflation. When you pump a bunch of money into the market, we have inflation because when people have more money, they spend more money. And I'm sure you've experienced that in your own bank accounts. So when people have more money and they spend more money, it puts more demand on things and prices go up. And that's what we're seeing here. And right here is 2020, around October, November 2021. And this is today, right here, the 27th of March, that little guy right there. So where do you guys think we are? 1, 2, 3? Are we in late contraction, middle contraction? You guys can type your guesses into the chat box. So why is it important to know where we are? Because smart money saw this happening a long time ago. And so they've been preparing their businesses, and they've been preparing for these types of things, this to happen. Large institutions, banks, minus a few banks who made some really bad investments, have been planning for this because they watch what's going on in the economy. And this is how you know how to position your business. I'm going to talk about some of those strategies for different parts of these cycles. So where we are right now, we're at number 5, middle contraction. We're in a busted market. And I'm sure many of you can feel that. And there are certain signals within each sector, within each industry, that are going to tell you how that's going to be affecting your business. So why is this happening? Why does this cycle happen, this chart over and over again? Well, the Fed's primary job. So the Federal Reserve conducts, this is from their website, by the way, conducts the nation's monetary policy to promote maximum employment, stable prices, and moderate long-term interest rates in the economy. That means we don't want our dollar becoming worthless, because then, we'll be entering war with a lot of people who can outpay to win that. So our government doesn't want to do that. We want to keep the dollar the reserve currency of the world. So here is how all of this is working. How does the Fed and their monetary policies affect our businesses? Well, the Fed prints money. That's called quantitative easing. And they don't always print it. They may add it as a zero on the central bank's balance sheet, just like, here's some more money digitally. And what that does is it increases capital in the market and causes increased prices of assets and goods through inflation. So that is what we're experiencing right now. I've seen over the last couple of years, lumber go up, cost of goods, especially salon cost of goods have gone up, rents have gone up, housing prices have gone up. You really can't name much that hasn't gone up in price. And that's because the Fed wrote a policy of quantitative easing that said, we think in 2020 the whole world's going to collapse, and so we're going to pump a bunch of money in. And they were mistaken, and they overheated the market. So that's what we're experiencing now. So to curb inflation, the Fed raises the interest rates as a response to that, to cool off the market. So the Fed fights inflation through increasing cost of capital to businesses to cool the demand. Now, most big businesses, they borrow money. They borrow money to build business. So if the banks are charging a higher interest rate, the business has to pay that higher interest. So it makes doing business more expensive. And what they do is, in response, the companies increase the cost of what they sell and pass that expense to you, or us, the consumer. So the end buyer gets what is an increased cost of a good. And that is where we are seeing the effect of inflation. So these companies, what they do in response to this is the companies pursue a reduction in their budget, and immediately they go to labor. It's usually the most expensive thing on a company's profit and loss statement, and this leads to layoffs, and that's what we're experiencing now. So this is sort of typical for middle contraction. You're going to see layoffs, especially in risky investments like the tech industry. Tech is called a hyperinflated industry, where it has a lot of bull-minded people who think, oh, you know what, I'm going to put a ton of money on this. It doesn't really have any value backing it, but if it takes off, it'll be huge. And so those high-risk investments start to go away in this type of market. And which, once people get laid off, this leads to reduced consumer spending. So less people can afford to buy houses and are forced to rent. So rent hikes put more pressure on the rental market, which means rents start going up, and we can all see that happening. And then it leads to consumer discretionary spending being reduced because the cost of living, cost of goods, everything they're buying is going up. So they're going to be paying for services less often, less frequently. Now, I was a hairstylist in 2008, and I saw the salon that I work at shut down because of 2008. And so there's some things we saw there that you might see at a salon level. So what we see at the salon level? A reduction in volume of high-ticket, non-essential luxury services. We saw that in the last recession. A reduction in frequency of visits. So where people may be coming more often, they're becoming less frequently, especially if they're in a family where the family's income has been reduced through a layoff. Also, people reduce their spending when they're fearful. And so as headlines hit that, like, oh, banks are closing, oh, interest rates are rising, things are getting more expensive, your monetary position is being threatened. We've already seen, you can follow this on charts online, we've already seen the US savings rate begin to increase incrementally. So people are not spending as much. We can see an increase in cost of goods sold. So running your business is going to cost you more, whether it's overhead, whether it is the products that you're using, and whether or not the company that you have in your salon has raised their prices or not. Some companies are behind in raising their prices. In my physical goods business, we ship all over the world. We have had to raise our prices nearly 20% just in the last year, just to maintain a margin. And that's what most big businesses will be doing. So, and you're also going to see an increase in rents. So what do? Well, we do what smart money does, and we prepare. I don't try to predict the future, but what you can do is prepare for the future. And the good thing is that when you're preparing for a down market, if everything corrects itself and goes back to normal, you'll just be in a better position. So you can see that there's a lot out of our control. So 80% of what affects your business is out of your control. But there are a lot of really powerful strategies and things you can do to control what you can control. Now, Nina Tulio is going to step in. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And Nina is going to share about some of the things, and she's been a salon owner for a long time, some of the things that you can do that you can control.
Thank you. Thank you, Cash. So informative for sure, and definitely much needed. Super happy to be here with you guys today. And listen, it's never fun to feel like things are out of your control, you know, and unfortunately, when you are a business owner and you are, whether, you know, independent or, you know, we have salon owners or you have a team, there's a lot riding on you, and there's a lot of pressure. And, you know, what I want to focus on today is really leaning into the things that you can control and really putting all of your time and energy into the things that can actually grow your business, as opposed to going down the rabbit hole. So before I dive into that, I understand what it feels like to actually go through a recession. So I was a commission salon owner back in Pennsylvania for 11 years. And I was a salon owner during the recession of 2009, 2008, 2009, 2010. And I can tell you that not only were we in the recession, but I was actually in probably the worst financial state of my life, being $90,000 in debt at that time, having to sell my home to keep my business, and all my own doing, right? Making really poor financial decisions personally and professionally got myself into this bind. And I was the one that got myself into it. So I was the one that had to get myself out of it. So I actually moved from a small salon. I owned a small, maybe 700 square foot salon with one team member. And during this time of being literally broke and in all of this debt, I took a risk to go into a bigger space with bigger rent and more stylist, more responsibility. And it actually was a pivotal point for me, because it allowed me to really dial in my brand, focus on who we were as a brand and what we could offer. And then I had to deal with the recession side of it, right? So it was feeling clients stretching out their appointments, you know, coming in a lot less, spending less, and seeing the fear and worry on their faces when they would come in. It was incredibly heartbreaking. And so I had to pivot, and I had to really, really become very clear on who we were as a brand and really focus on the relationships, which is a lot of what we're going to talk about today. But before that, I want to know, for everyone that's tuning in, have you been seeing a little shift in your consumer behaviors? So have you been seeing your clients stretch out their appointments? Have they been spending less? Have they been asking for, you know, discounts? Like, what is the vibe in your salon? And I do want to make this super clear. I'm asking you this because I want to know what's going on in your salon, but I don't want you to worry about what is going on in other people's salons. You have to really dial in and focus on what's going in on your salon, look at your consumer behaviors, and not be distracted. It's like media, right? It's like the news. Everything gets so amplified. Well, if we started paying attention to all of that, it would make us more fearful. And sometimes when we are in the state of fear, we panic and we stay still. And so my goal is to make you feel more empowered in the way that you're growing your business, and give you some tools and some information that really helped me, which allowed me then to help other salon owners and hairstylists during COVID and even now during this recession. So as I'm just reading some of these comments, definitely a little shift. Slightly, not too many. I've been doing some polls on my stories too on IG. And it's kind of been more so, it hasn't been too amplified. You know, some stylists and owners have been seeing a little bit of a shift. So last minute cancellations. Okay, perfect. Thank you guys. And so, spacing out their appointments a little bit. So as we're moving on, so let's kind of go into the next slide, just so I can share some of these action items and things that you can do right now. And again, you almost have to remind yourself, because I can honestly, sitting here, still feel the fear and the, it was almost like sheer panic when people start to, stretch out their appointments and seeing them left, and clients were dropping off left and right. So I can really empathize what you're going through. And so in your mind, I would love for you, when you start to go down the rabbit hole, because we've all been there, and I did it too when I was a salon owner, focus on what you can control. You cannot control what is happening with your clients at home. You cannot control where they're spending their money. You cannot control, their current job situation and what's happening there. But what you can control are a list of probably 5 or 6 things that I'm going to run through today. And if you ever have that moment where you feel like you're getting out of touch and you're starting to get a little bit nervous and anxious, just center yourself and say, what can I focus on today that I can control? So one of the first things that I think is incredibly important is to run an expense audit. And what I mean by that is to really just go through all of your expenses. I suggest actually doing this at least twice a year, at the beginning of the year and then mid-year. Running all of your expenses and looking at them and saying, okay, do I really need all the 18 subscriptions that I have? Because we all accumulate all of these subscriptions, and are we really utilizing them? Are they bringing value to you and your business? And looking at cost of product. Has it gone up? How much has it gone up? How much is it affecting you in your business? Really paying attention to and having a good handle on what your expenses are is incredibly important. If you are not pulling a profit and loss report in your business every single month, I highly suggest that you do. It is so incredibly important to have a pulse on what is coming in revenue-wise in your business, what is going out expense-wise, and then what your net profit is. So if you're not doing that, I highly recommend that you do that. And we do it every month because if there is something in your business that is causing your business to bleed out cash, we want to put a stop to it right away. We don't want to wait 6 months or 8 months or by the end of the year where we're like, oh, if I only would have looked at this, I could have, stopped from spending or overspending, or maybe put a little stop or a pause on some of those subscriptions that I just absolutely do not need. So number one, run an expense audit, and at least twice a year. What can I cut back on? What do I need? What do I want and what do I need, right? You really have to ask yourself these tough questions sometimes. And then these are the things that I really want you to focus on. And again, I'm speaking from experience living through this. I can tell you that the one thing that truly kept my business alive was focusing on my brand, becoming very clear on what our mission was, what our core values were, and making sure that my team was also very included in that process, and really becoming a very, very close knit and dialing in those relationships with our clients. Because I personally believe in leading with compassion and love and kindness. And when your clients are going through something, we have to understand, right? We have to lead from a space of compassion. It doesn't mean that you're going to start giving services away or start discounting, but you can listen and you can really understand and maybe feel what they're going through. On the back end for you, it's making sure that you have your price per minute down and your price per hour down, and understanding what your cost of product is, and understanding that you can maybe create a mini menu, which I'll talk about in a second, that will actually be more proactive as opposed to you discounting your time and talent. So when you understand your brand and meaning, and you can ask yourself these questions: who am I as a hairstylist or as an owner? Who do I serve? And how can I serve them better than anyone else? Those are the 3 questions. Now, we can talk about brand all day long. There's so many components to it, but these 3 questions really can get you to start thinking: who am I? Who do I serve? And how can I serve them better than anyone else? And as far as the relationship side of it, it's just leading with compassion. It's listening to your clients. It's really being understanding to what they're going through. But then on the back end, it's like, okay, what can I do to still continue to serve them without discounting my own time and talent? So maximizing demand with client experience. If you follow me on Instagram, and if you don't, I would love for you to do that. It's just my name. I share so much information on there. And a lot of what I've been sharing probably over the past year or 2 is all about value. Value, value, value. So Focusing on brand client relationships, part of that is giving them a client experience that is unmatched. It's giving them a client experience that they cannot receive anywhere else. And part of that is you. Part of that is your own magic. Part of that is being yourself and being authentic to you, right? The other side of it is, when we think about a client experience, what is going to elevate that client experience? I'll walk you through a couple steps here, and I teach a lot about this in one of my courses, but I want to give you as much value as I can today in terms of enhancing your client experience. So starting off, before they even come in, what does your booking process look like? Is it convenient? Do they have to, over the river, through the woods, click this button here? Like, we need to simplify and make sure that things are very easy for them to schedule and book, right? Simplifying your menu. What does your menu look like? Clients don't understand our lingo, so they don't understand how we talk and what balayage means and hair painting and highlighting and blonding and color corrections. Simplify your menu in a way that it has images and photos and is focusing on the desired result, not going through all of the hoops on how you're going to get them there, right? So making a very, very simplified booking system is key. Intake forms. I highly recommend having intake forms for your business. Not only will it allow you to get to know them a little bit better, it will also have your client policies and systems on there in terms of cancellation policies and your no-show policy, right? They have to agree and acknowledge that. You're setting yourself up to win, right? Very, very clear, no gray area. They should know exactly what they're getting into if there's deposits and things like that, right? And then the other side of that too is, on that intake form, we talk about added value services. So you're actually already starting to talk about added value services on the intake form, so they can check off what they like and what they're interested in, and then you can educate them a little bit more when they come in. Then on the other side of this, I won't go through all of them, but an elevated shampoo experience, when we're talking about adding value, is critical. People are stressed. People are worried. They may be worried about money. We don't know what they're going through at home. I coach and teach to a 15-minute shampoo experience with choice of essential oils and hot towels. And if you're in a suite, and you can use candles and dim the lights and change the music and all of the things. But we really want that to be their time where they can literally worry about nothing. It is just their time to be still and enjoy and be pampered. And I can tell you again from experience, because we didn't have an elevated shampoo experience probably till, I would say, maybe after the recession in 2009, I really started to add in that value experience. And when we started to do this particular shampoo experience, nobody was worried about price increases. Nobody was saying, well, why did your prices go up by 10% or 50? They were just so grateful and thankful that we were spending more time pampering them. And that really started to set us apart from other stylists and other owners, in our area. And I would like to say this: we had 43 salons within 6 blocks of the area that I moved into. So if I didn't get my shit together, can I say shit? If we didn't get our stuff together, we would have been X'd out, because there were so many other amazing owners and salons and stylists in the area that I had to elevate the brand. I had to elevate the client experience, because on my street, there were probably 7 or 8 salons. So value, value, value. This is what I really want to drive home to you guys. It's so incredibly important. And there's other ways too. It is keeping in communication with them when they leave, through email campaigns and educating them. It is making sure that they get a thank you card or a text or an email, to really thank new clients coming in within 24 hours, asking for feedback. These are all ways that we elevate the client experience, which will then enhance the client relationships. I do want to talk about this mini menu, and I have this as a pinned post on my Instagram. With the mini menu, we're creating, this is a proactive approach, right? So we understand our price per minute, price per hour. We're pricing services accordingly. And with the mini menu, I don't recommend leading with this mini menu. We're not going to have it on our Instagram. We're not going to put it on our website. We're not going to post about it. We're not going to share that. We're really having this on the back end, something that you can grab in your back pocket, where you can offer a face frame or a mini highlight or a mini balayage or an express treatment or an express root retouch. And these are things, we did a root retouch express. It was just the little T-zone area here. And we actually ended up saving a lot of clients back in my salon because they didn't want to do their own hair, but they feel like they were forced to because of their job situation. But if we can get them in and do that T-zone area for them, and they felt really good about it, and they still felt that they were being served, why not? But it has to be priced accordingly. And this is where knowing your price per minute and your price per hour is incredibly important. I have a free pricing class on my website. It's like 30-40 minutes. I go into a lot of this, so feel free to check that out as well. I have a ton of free resources you can check out. And when you're pricing this mini menu, maybe you pick a few services. Maybe you just pick one or two. Maybe you share it internally to your email marketing list and you talk about your express treatment. I have clients that are doing all of the things. I'm not one of those people that says there's only one way to run a business. I feel like my role is to make you feel good and confident in the way that you're running your business. So I love to give options. I have some artists that are sharing their mini menu. They are sharing it to their entire list. Do you, whatever works best for you is incredibly important. And it has to suit your brand core values and your mission. Last but not least is to increase cash flow streams with new clients. This is so important. So we talked about expense auditing, right? We want to drive revenue. We have to keep driving top line revenue. We have to keep, whether it's, bringing in new clients, or I'll share some things with you here on the next slide. But I think it's so important to make sure that we have to focus on bringing in revenue to the business. Before we go to the next slide, I do want to say this. Some things I would love you not to do. Don't reduce your prices. I've been seeing this on Instagram, and I have some posts about this that I'm like urgent, which I never post about anything like that, urgent message, but it was urgent, where there were stylists who were sharing that they were reducing their service prices by 10, 15, or 20%. I understand things can get crazy. I understand that things can get a little bit nerve-wracking, and it is very fearful. We definitely don't want to reduce our prices, because I can tell you this, I do not know one business, I don't care how profitable they are, I don't know one business that can lose 10, 15, or 20% in revenue right now. It's just not going to work. And if you go down that rabbit hole, then you've got to get yourself out of it. So things not to do, don't reduce your prices, and don't be afraid of change. Step outside of your comfort zone a little bit when it comes to marketing and advertising, and start to really challenge yourself a little bit when it comes to how you are navigating and approaching this era and time in your business. Some things will work and some things won't work. I can't tell you how much money I spent in marketing in my business, in my salon. And even now, where I'm like, that didn't work so much. Let's pivot. Let's change. Let's try something else. Don't be afraid of change. Actually, the biggest areas of growth will happen when you step outside of your comfort zone. So let's move on to the next slide. I just have a couple things that I do want to share before we turn it back over and ask some questions, or you guys can ask some questions. I want to strip this down and make it as simple as possible. When we talk about increasing revenue, when we talk about bringing in new sales, when we talk about maybe getting new clients, there are 3 ways to grow a business. I'm all about simplicity, and I think sometimes we make things super complicated and we start like throwing darts at the wall hoping that they'll stick. 3 ways to grow a business. This is it. You increase your average ticket, you increase your frequency of visit, or you increase the volume in your business, meaning you get new clients. If you're a salon owner, you may get another renter. Maybe you bring on another stylist. That would be the 4th in terms of increasing revenue. When you look at your business, you have to say, okay, if I'm noticing consumer behaviors change, which area can I focus on? Is it the average ticket? Can I start offering services, added value services. Is that going to work with me if people are stretching out their appointments, if they're, spending less? Is that an area that I can dive into? Maybe you need a price increase. That's another way to increase your average ticket, and demand is the driving force behind that. Is it I'm increasing my frequency of visit? Maybe you have little Susie that sits down in the chair every single time she comes in and she's like, oh man, I wish I was here a week or two earlier. Listen to the cues that your clients are talking in the way that they're talking to you, because they're saying, I need to get in sooner, right? So I think focusing on the frequency of visit, again, incredibly important. If you see a lot of lived-in looks, can you see them 4 times a year as opposed to seeing them twice a year? Can you get them in to refresh their money piece, or to get them in for a haircut or a treatment in between their service? And then volume, new clients, more heads in your salon. And again, I stripped this down very simplistically for you. 3 ways to attract target clients: referrals, social media, networking in person and on, like, say, Facebook groups or on Instagram, and then business to business marketing. This one I feel like gets left out a lot, but I can tell you with my own business, networking and marketing with other local businesses that share in your target market can make a huge impact in the way that you grow your business. So referrals, have a solid referral program. I have a post on this on my Instagram as well recently. When you're playing around on social media, like, let's not keep scrolling, but really think about content in ways that we can share to our target clients, so we're actually speaking directly to them. Share educational pieces as well, not just before and afters and transformations. Showcase you, who you are, and your personality. And then networking, get involved with other businesses in your area and see how you can help serve each other to really support each other as you're going through this rough time. I see that there are some questions here. So scheduling system, if you are independent, I would recommend Schedulicity. If you have a team of people, I would recommend Forest. Would you recommend a mini menu for haircutting? You may, but I personally wouldn't dive anything into necessarily haircutting at this time unless you feel that it's going to be beneficial for you and your business. I see that we have some manicure and mini menu manicurist ideas, which are awesome. So thank you for sharing that information. And yes, never reduce your prices. Awesome. Thank you. So I hope this helps. I hope it gives you a little bit of inspiration and some insight. I know that fear is going to kick in sometimes. Focus on what you can control. Put your head down, put your blinders on, really learn a lot more about your brand and your business, and really focus on those few key areas that I had mentioned.
Nina, that was huge. And what I want to do is I want to circle back a lot of what we discussed, and already with Cash as well, and with a lot of your advice too. Cash, I know you have a couple things, so I kind of want to spin it back to you a little bit just to go over a few points.
Nina, that was brilliant. Thank you for sharing all of that amazing wisdom. I just wanted to piggyback on top of a few of those and say, when you are, Nina's absolutely right. So when we talk about what smart money is doing, what the billionaires are doing, this is the first thing they do is an audit of expenses. So she's dead on. It is one of the most important things you can do right away. It is the fastest, easiest way to increase profitability and create a larger margin for yourself. Because remember, your revenue does not pay your bills, your margin does. So you've got to get your margin up, because that's going to give you a margin of safety in your business for fluctuating revenues. Now, when you're thinking about doing that, I teach people to use an ABC analysis that I use in all of my businesses. I learned it from a guy who runs a $5 billion business, and it's called an ABC analysis. And what I do is I do this on a monthly basis. Actually have it done for me now. But you basically go through and sort your expenses by vendor in your accounting software. And you'll see a list sorted by how much you spend with each vendor, and you rank each one of those an A if it is absolutely necessary to making money in your business, a B if it's a nice to have in making money in your business, and a C if it actually does not directly make you any money. And then you can go in through and you want to get rid of as many C's as you can right away. And then the following month, You want to see if you can turn any of your Bs into Cs, because the Bs are the nice to haves that you think are generating money, but may not be. And so a B can turn into a C, and you want to get rid of that as well. So ideally, you only want to finding A's in your business. B's, if they are something really valuable to your client that if you took away, it would just sort of like ruin brand experience or ruin client experience. So that's a really nice system, a nice way to go through auditing your expenses and getting rid of really what's not important. And I go through P&Ls of students, and there's a lot. On average, we get about 20% more profitable just from reducing expenses. So it's a huge place that you can improve your margin. The other thing is there's two types of costs in a business when you're reducing things. There's fixed cost and there's variable costs. Fixed costs are costs that stay the same no matter how much money you make. And variable costs are costs that increase with your revenue. So for example, the products that you use in the salon, that's a variable cost. The more clients you have, the more you'll use. A fixed cost would be like overhead, your rent. Now, what's really cool in this season, you want to be looking to eliminate fixed costs, because if you have high fixed costs in the business, anybody that's analyzing or valuing your business will view that as a position of risk. They'll say that this is not a strong business, not a durable business if it has high fixed costs, because it doesn't allow for fluctuation in revenue without getting very close to costs eclipsing revenue. So what you'll want to do is address fixed costs. And AOG is actually an awesome opportunity for this, for people who've been considering doing something like a booth rental or go even in booth rental. They don't have any contracts. There's no fixed cost. So you only pay when you're using a chair, which means if you're not busy, and you pay less. In a normal situation, you're going to be paying overhead whether you work or not. Which can be a pretty sticky situation if you're getting reduced frequency and reduced revenue. So that's just a really good option that they're providing. It's like perfect time that they're coming around in this season right now. Another thing is Nina was absolutely right with focusing on retention. That's huge. And so what I did in the past was, for my clients, I have what's called a triple R funnel. And I call it that because, and I don't know if anyone else uses this or has used this, but it's called a retention, review, and referral funnel. And I've implemented this in several of my businesses. Last year, this one funnel from just text messages generated $3.4 million in revenue, just from text messages in one business. So text message marketing, staying in touch in an automated way with your clients. So what we do is we send value-adding text messages like, check out this article I wrote on maybe on your own blog on taking care of your curly hair at home. Check out this blonde thing, and in those articles you can have links to buy products on your website. So now you're starting to market, right? So you can send them, hey, I just started using this product. Check out my affiliate link here. You can purchase it here. I'm now recommending this for my blondes. So it's all value adding, and then in those 9 value add texts, we would add a review. So then it's like, hey, leave me a review on this, because you've given them so much. Now you can ask for something, ask for a review. And then the third thing out of the review retention, out of that funnel, is that we want to, let me get my, pull up my slide here, is ask for a referral. So retention, review, and referral. If you're constantly adding value to people, I was never afraid to ask for a referral. I just straight up ask. So I'm consistently sending them value. I'm consistently giving them education. And then I'm asking for a review, which helps my online reputation, which can help me build demand for my business over others, help me remain more competitive on a public platform. And then with referral, if you're going to get reduced frequency, then in a down market, I think what a lot of hairstylists have made the mistake over the last 10 years. We have been in an up market. So in that up market, we were able to consistently raise prices, reduce client count, reduce hours worked, and get our perfect schedule in place, right? We're hairstylists working 2-3 days a week at their maximum price with very few clients. But what happens in a down market, when those few clients stop coming in as frequently, it has a bigger effect, because each client is worth more. Your average client value per year starts to go down. So I always recommend to people, always be building a wait list. No matter how busy you are, no matter how many people you can't serve, always have a wait list. You should always have something that's driving people. If they can't see you now and you can't take them, because every time you do a price raise, you should have a wait list anyway. Because if you do lose any of your clients, which rarely you do, you will be able to send out that text message, send out that email, hey, waitlist just opened up, I have 2 more spots. And that's creating shortage mentality. And so people really want something when it's not available. It becomes more valuable. So you're increasing your perceived value through that. And you're also adding value to your clients. If you're asking for referrals, you're going to increase your client count, which can offset reduced frequency of visit. So those are just some of the things I wanted to share on some of those things that Nina talked about. And one additional thing that I think is really important, it's any retailer or service provider, one of the metrics in business valuation, there's a thing called a 409A valuation. And this is when companies come in and they put a dollar amount that each share of your business should be worth. And when they do this process, a 409A valuation, they are going to be looking at profit per square foot when you are in a brick and mortar business. So if you're a salon owner, one of the key indicators of the strength of your business is taking advantage of maximizing the value of square feet you have available. So if you have unused, unprofitable square feet, so what you basically do is take your P&L for a period of about 90 days, then take your square footage, divide your profit by your square foot, and you're gonna see how profitable per square foot your space is. And it's a great thing to keep in mind, because it's an indicator of how durable and strong your business is and how well you're maximizing the cost of your space. So the last one is ARR, annual recurring revenue. In your R funnels, if you guys decide to do something like that, which I recommend, annual recurring revenue is something that we use a lot in our business. So in our businesses, so we love subscription revenue. And so if your client's going to be spending more time at home, they're not going to be coming in and buying things, or you're not going to be using affiliate links as much, or seeing them. What we've done in the past and what I've done is I have put clients on product subscriptions with me, where I told them, hey, all you have to do is send me a text that says restock, or they can, if they run out of something early, and I can literally send it to them, they can buy it. And there's plenty of platforms. You can go on Google, and you should look up which one works best for your business, but you can literally set clients up on subscriptions. And you can have your stuff from your salon sent to these people at their house. They don't even have to be in your salon to sell. And you can start including some of those things through affiliate links as well. So those are some additional really powerful tools to set your business up for success in a down market.
Gosh, thank you so much. And Nina, like, truly, this is incredible education, right? Like, these are ongoing things that are happening currently right now, and so this is huge to learn from the both of you. So seriously, thank you guys. And kind of to that point, hey Nina, did you say something? Sorry. So yeah, like what I wanted to touch on real quick as we kind of wrap up, and Nina, Cash, this was huge for us. One thing that I really loved, Cash, at the beginning, you mentioned we fear what we don't understand, right? And Nina, you talked about this quite throughout, what you were sharing with us, like the power of having value in what we do, the power of simplicity, right? And I think what's so exciting with ArtistOnGo is we have partnered with educators like Nina and Cash to be able to provide this as a resource for you. I think with simplicity itself, what ArtistOnGo has done is we've found ourselves working with owners like Nina, who have built all of these processes, worried about all of those difficult things. And now with ArtistOnGo, what's so great is we're just a better way of renting and having all of what you need already set up for you when you show up. We work with so many people like Nina, like Cash, these owners who have this network of salons where we can match you to. And that's the beauty of ArtistOnGo, is being able to bring your own business, your brand, to an already established infrastructure, right? Stylists who switch, they're saving 50% a month in rent. And we're also aiming to help salon owners with that, right? There's a win-win in everything that we do. So again, with ArtistOnGo, we have incredible locations with you, flexible plans that fit your needs. Cash gave us an incredible breakdown of how important pricing is with all of this. No contracts, money back is a guarantee for you guys. And Nina, right, really touching on the power of this value, simplifying our process. And also going back to what Cash said, like, we fear what we don't understand. Oftentimes when I'm speaking with artists, it's all about taking that leap, making that jump. And, Nina and Cash are there to help answer those questions. We'll follow up with you guys on this content, but ArtistOnGo is also there to field all of this. It's the toolbox for everything that artists are looking for. So with that, I just kind of want to drop, in terms with ArtistOnGo, guys, reach out to us on our website, follow us. With all of the questions that we've had in here, we're going to post about this on our page so that we can get those things answered for you guys. This is kind of new and exciting. With anybody who signs up with ArtistOnGo as a monthly renter, we're actually offering $300 off with that first month of monthly rent, which is huge. So I encourage you guys to reach out, take our quiz, get matched to a salon here that works for you. You might find yourself chatting on the phone with me as our advisor here. So I'd be super excited to talk with any of you. But Nina, Cash, thank you so much again. Super excited to have you both. This was huge. So thank you.